towels that had been laid out. As Esme dipped her hands into the basin of water, her thoughts turned again to the mysterious naked man at the lake and the drawing of him that now resided in her sketchbook. A warm flush rose on her skin, together with a tiny secret smile. He truly had been magnificent, better than any of the Greek statues she had ever seen. But her interest in him had been strictly artistic, she assured herself. She was an artist, and he had been her chosen subject. If he happened to be pleasingly shaped, and if she happened to have taken extra care in her rendering of certain intriguing body parts, well, she had only been doing justice to the artwork, nothing more. Even so, she was grateful he hadn't realized that she'd drawn him. Some people didn't like having their likenesses sketched, although considering that he had been swimming naked, he didn't strike her as the bashful type. Thank heavens, though, for Burr. For a few seconds when she had been turning to leave, she had feared that her accidental Adonis had spotted her. But Burr had dashed out and diverted his attention so that he hadn't known she was there. Picking up the bar of honey-scented soap, she lathered her hands and began to wash. As she did, she speculated again on who he might be. Certainly no one who lived in the neighborhood. She would have remembered a man like him. So why did she have the strangest feeling she had seen him somewhere before? For the life of her, she couldn't place him. Oh well, it would come to her eventually. Or not. She wasn't going to concern herself. After all, it wasn't as if their paths were likely ever to cross again. Just then, Grumblethorpe came back into the room with Esme's evening gown and silk slippers in hand. Realizing she had no further time to ruminate, Esme began to bathe in earnest. In far less time than one might have imagined, Esme stood clean, elegantly coiffed, and attired in an evening gown of demure white silk, presentable for company once again. She had hoped, with the season over, she might be able to put all the entertaining behind her for the year. But then Claire had decided to host one of her autumn country parties, inviting the usual gathering of friends and family, in addition to a few new acquaintances from London. Esme sighed inwardly, wishing she could spend a quiet evening with just the family, then retire early with a good book. Instead, she straightened her shoulders, fixed a smile on her lips, and headed downstairs. "Might I have the pleasure of procuring a beverage for you, Lady Esme?" Esme glanced up from where she sat on the end of the long drawing-room sofa and into the eager grey eyes of Lord Eversley. Only minutes before, the gentleman had rejoined the ladies after dinner, strolling in on a wave of companionable talk and the faint lingering aromas of cigar smoke and port wine. Esme had been half listening to the other women's discussion of the latest fashions when Lord Eversley approached and made her a very elegant bow. He had been seated next to her at dinner. She had found his conversation both pleasant and interesting. He was an attractive man, personable, well-mannered and intelligent. He was also heir to an earldom and a fortune that was impressive even by her own family's standards. In short, he was everything any sane young woman would want in a husband. So why wasn't she falling under his spell? She couldn't even claim the excuse of disliking him. She liked him quite well. He was nice. He had a good sense of humor, and as a friend, she had no quarrel with his company. But marriage? Instinctively, she knew there should be something more, a spark, a flicker of passion, to say nothing of love. And that, above all else, was the problem. Perfect as he was, he simply wasn't the man for her. Yet out of all her suitors during this year's London season, Eversley had been the most attentive. She'd done her best not to encourage him.